So there's been a lot of interest in this little Bauer saw here. The number one comment that I have received is about dust collection. So I currently am not using the dust collection. I got it on this little stand and I've been rolling outside because I'm doing some stuff in my shop. But if you see this little plastic shroud that kind of goes around the blade, that's where the dust collection goes. And then it goes straight through out the back, and it's hooked right there so it stays with the blade. Whereas I've seen some that the dust collection kind of went through here and was just sucking up there. So I've been telling everybody it looks to me like it's going to have really good dust collection. But let's find out. I've got this 2x4 here. I really hate cutting pine with this saw. I've got a, you can't really see the writing on it, but this is the industrial Freud blade. This isn't the little thin kerf Diablo. This thing has the full 1/8 inch wide kerf teeth on it. So it's going to put out almost twice as much dust as the little Diablo blades. Now the dust port is the smaller hose, and the only vacuum I have is this little small Carvac. This filter, I don't know how many years old it is, but I did try to blow it out. We'll stick that in there, and we'll see how much sawdust this thing puts out. I figure I'm going to try to do at least 100 cuts. So I figured it up 3.5 inches by 1.5 inches is 5 1/4 or whatever, 1/8 of an inch cut. It's actually a 0.65 of an inch. So if we do 100 cuts, that should be about 65 cubic inches of wood that we're cutting down. But as most people know, sawdust is fluffier, so it should take up a little bit more room than that. So let me set this down, put the filter in, and we'll get to cutting. So I've got this 2x4 here. I'm going to probably chop this in half, and then I'll stack it up, chop it in half again, and we'll see how that works out. So if it works out good, we'll cut, say, 4 at a time. So if I make 25 cuts, so 4 at a time would be equal to 100 single cuts of 2x4, and then we'll check and see how much dust we have. So I think I cut that 4 times, so it's about 16 cuts. Not quite the 100 that I was looking at, but I can see already that there is a lot more sawdust than what I was expecting piled up on here. The floor, which wasn't perfectly clean, but there's still a pretty good pile of sawdust on the floor. Let me take a look in the vacuum here. So, I mean, there is a good little pile of sawdust in there, but I would say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put this on pause and sweep that up so we can make a comparison. Okay, so this is the pile of sawdust that was in the vacuum. And then I vacuumed off the saw, vacuumed up the floor, and this was the pile that I vacuumed up. So we're probably looking at 10-15% that's not, because this pile, is a lot taller and bigger around. So it's at least 2/3 made it into the vacuum, and then we had maybe 1/3 to 1/4 that didn't get in the vacuum. So to be fair, let me go ahead and hook up a bigger vacuum, and we'll try that again. And that was after 16 cuts, and we'll see if the results are the same with the bigger vacuum. So I've connected up my bigger vacuum here. I'm going to do the same 16 cuts, and we'll see if we get about the same amount of dust on the saw as we did before. Okay, so the air conditioner was winding down. As you see, there was a little bit of, now I did the same 16, there's a little bit of sawdust back here. There's just a little bit, it's kind of hard to tell on this floor. Now, I didn't vacuum it completely. So there are a few dust shavings here, but substantially less. I would think that would be, I mean, would fit in a teaspoon, the amount, and that was 16 cuts there. You know, I don't know if I even blew off the front side of the saw here. All right, so I just kind of blew that off. I'll leave that on the back because the back, now I just took the vacuum and ran around it real quickly. I didn't, you know what, let's just go ahead and blow it off. All right, so you can see the state of the saw. I didn't really clean it real good before, so that was 16. Hardly nothing, I would say. Floor still got a little bit, so I'm going to go do another 80, and then we will take a look at it again. I'm doing 4 at a time, so yeah. 20 cuts will be equal to 80 2x4s. So let's see if I can get 20 cuts out of this. So from here on out in the video, I keep saying 80 cuts because that's what I had in my head. When I was editing the video, I looked here and I did 19, but then I also had the 16 cuts from the front. So it turned out to be about 92 cuts. So from when you see the pile of dust I vacuum up, I keep saying this is from 80 cuts. It's actually from 92 cuts. Okay, so that was 80 2x4s. You can see the pile of pieces down there. You see I kind of blew it off. So there is just a little bit of dust here. There is a little bit on the floor. Now I didn't vacuum that up from the first one, so when I stopped. So I'm going to go ahead and vacuum all this up and compare it to the first 16 cuts I did with the small vacuum. Okay, so after doing the 80 cuts, I've vacuumed up the saw. As you can see, it's pretty clean. Vacuumed up most of the floor here. That's pretty clean. So once again, this was the pile in the vacuum after 16 boards. This was the pile that I vacuumed off the saw after 16 cuts. Now this is the pile I just vacuumed off the saw after 80 cuts. So as you can see, the you know, this is well over double the amount of, or 4 times the amount of cuts. So unfortunately I don't have, you know, a way to separate out of the bag, because there's a big bag in there of the sawdust that it actually collected in the big vacuum. But you can see that it really made a big difference in the size of your vacuum, because even though we've cut 4 times as many boards, this is the 2 piles. So this is 80 cuts and this is 16 cuts, and this is what was not collected in the dust collection. This is what I vacuumed up off the floor. So it's probably not quite twice as much as this. So definitely a bigger vacuum, as you can see here, will make a huge difference. So I just had this little small shop vac here on the first one. While it did vacuum up, say 60%, it looks like 60-70%. You know, when I hooked it to my big vacuum here, which may be the same as if I had hooked it up to, say, like a rigid vacuum, we're getting about 85-90% efficiency. So not for sure what you're looking for, and so hopefully this helps. Give me some comments down there. I don't do a lot of dust collection. Most of the time I just cut boards here and turn the fan on and blow the stuff out in the yard. So you know, this isn't a YouTube studio. This is my workshop. You know, as you can see, I've got tons of projects. I got a big drum sander I'm building over there. I'm also putting up French cleats, and there's multiple projects going on all at once. So you know, give me a comment. What are you looking for? Are you looking for real life, you know, shop information, or do you like the more, you know, pristine, where it's set up as a studio? You know, I've definitely seen some saws that they cut with that seem to do better dust collection. I think for me, I probably, if I was going to be using this inside and cutting a whole bunch of stuff, would want to get like at least a big rigid instead of the little small handheld vacuum. But just give me some comments. Let me know what you think. Also, give me some comments on what you like to see, because the reason I made this video was because I had a half a dozen people asking me about dust collection, and you know, I gave them what I thought would be good, but you know, the proof's in the pudding. So this is what it is. You tell me if you think this is adequate dust collection, or if they've dropped the ball on this one.